Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
We're here to break down the brand new chapter, chapter 1169.
And man, this one got dark. We need to talk about King Harald. He begs his son to kill him to save Elbaph, and then Imu just flips a switch. He becomes a monster right before our eyes.
A king fighting for his own soul only to lose in the most horrific way possible.
I'm still reeling from it. Okay, let's back up and go through the whole chapter. There's so much to get into.
Let's start at the beginning, with Shanks and Gaban, the quiet before the storm.
Right, so it's still calm here. Gaban tells Shanks that Garp let it slip that Captain Roger had a son, and Shanks' reaction is just perfect. There's no shock, no confusion, no, wait, what? He doesn't hesitate for a second. He just smiles and says, "My little brother."
It's such an immediate and unconditional acceptance. It reinforces everything we know about the Roger pirates. Bloodline is secondary to the bonds you forge.
Gaban agrees, saying he and Buggy were like their sons, so Roger's son is family too. It's such a pure Roger pirate sentiment. The found family is the real family.
That's their whole thing. It's what Luffy does. He just collects family wherever he goes. And it's exactly what Roger did. You remember Odin's flashback, right? Roger treated Shanks and Buggy like his own kids. So, of course, Roger's actual kid would be their brother. It's the law of the Oro Jackson. And then Shanks is immediately wondering if this kid, this new little brother, is going to be the next pirate king. He's already got his hopes up.
But Gaban has this very wise, almost somber take. He says that great expectations can be a burden, and sometimes people can't live up to them. But that's what makes life interesting. He's seen a great man's journey from start to finish. He understands the weight of a name like Goldie Roger.
Yeah, that hit me. He's not saying it in a mean way. It's just realistic. Like he's seen it happen before. It feels like he's talking about more than just Roger's kid. Maybe about the pressure they all felt after Roger died. Everyone was looking for the next Roger, the next great pirate. And Gaban is just saying, hey, let the kid be his own person.
It's a classic One Piece theme, inherited will versus inherited burden. Gaban seems to understand that you can't force a destiny onto someone, even someone with Roger's blood. We saw it with Ace. He spent his entire life fighting the shadow of his father, trying to prove he was different, trying to make his own name under Whitebeard. Gaban's words here feel like a prophecy for the tragedy we already know happened with Ace. He's warning against the very pressure that ate away at him.
Oh man, you're right. It's a retroactive warning. He's worried about this kid who he's never even met. That's the kind of guy Gaban is. And then that calm, thoughtful scene is just ripped away from us, and we're thrown straight into a horror movie at Aurust Castle.
That transition was so jarring. We go from a quiet conversation about legacy and choice to King Harald, chained to a pillar, stripped of all choice. He suddenly murders one of his own guards.
I know. His body just moves on its own. It was insane to see. One moment he's begging the guard to chain him. The next, his arm just snaps up, grabs the guard's own spear, and that's it. He kills the guy he ordered to chain him, the man who trusted him, and he's just as shocked as everyone else. The look of pure terror on his face, man.
He realizes immediately it's Imu. He says they gave him an order and his body just obeyed. This is a level of control that goes beyond anything we've seen. Doflamingo's parasite string was terrifying, but the victims were aware they were being controlled, like puppets on a string. This is different. This is a hijacking of the central nervous system. His own muscles betraying him.
It's the ultimate violation. Not just puppetry, but a complete erasure of self. It's the perfect embodiment of the world government ideology, the complete subjugation of the individual will to a higher divine authority.
And in that moment of clarity, knowing his very soul is on the line, he makes a choice.
He tells them all to kill him. He looks at his loyal guards, the men who serve him, and he orders them to execute him right there because he knows he's the single biggest threat to their entire nation. A king ordering his own assassination to save his kingdom? That's heavy.
He's trying to protect Elbaph from himself, a king's final desperate act of sovereignty, using the last shred of control he has to command his own destruction. It's incredibly noble.
And they do it. They're crying, but they do it. They're loyal to the very end. They run him through with spears and swords. And then Loki and Jarl burst in to see it happen, to see their king, their father, being impaled by his own men. What a horrible thing to walk in on.
Only for the wounds to start closing in. The flesh just knits itself back together. It's unnatural. Demonic, even.
I lost it. I absolutely lost it at that moment. He's immortal. He can't even die when he wants to. The one escape he had, the one way to protect everyone, is denied to him. And you see in his thoughts, he's just begging them to run, for someone to stop him, as his body starts cutting down everyone around him. What a nightmare. He's a prisoner in his own body, forced to watch himself become a monster.
And as this is happening, as we're watching this horror unfold, we cut back to Shanks, who's explaining exactly what this nightmare is. He's giving the dictionary definition for the horror that's happening.
This was the lore drop I was waiting for. He tells Gaban about the covenants. A Shallow's covenant, which is what he and Harald had, lets Emu control you, but only within a certain range. Once they were out of Mary Joaz, they could talk freely. It's like a leash with a limited length.
Which is how Harald confirmed his suspicions about Shanks's true intentions. He knew Shanks was trying to protect him. That conversation they had in Mary Joaz was a test. Harald was walking a tightrope, and once he was out of Emu's range, he could confirm that Shanks wasn't a dog of the government, but was actively working against them.
But becoming a knight of God? That's a different deal. That's a depths covenant. That's not a leash. That's a whole new operating system installed directly into your soul.
And this is the core of it. The depths covenant is the source of the gods' knights' power, their incredible strength, their ability to traverse the abyss, and their immortality. It makes you wonder about the 5 elders, their regenerative abilities we saw against Sabo and Cobra. Maybe it's not a devil fruit. It could be this. They might have made this same pact.
Yeah, that has to be it. They're all on the Depths Covenant plan. But the trade-off is insane. Emu can control you wherever you are, whenever they want. No defying orders. No escape. You're just a puppet forever. You get to be immortal, but it's an immortal death. You cease to exist as a person.
A weapon with a lost soul. Shanks knew the world government wouldn't keep their promise to Elbaph. He knew they would give Harald this power, only to turn him into a tool to enslave his own people. This was the trap all along. Offer a king the power to protect a nation, and then use that very power to destroy it from the inside out. It's diabolical.
And right as he's explaining this, they both just stop. They feel that hockey from the castle. It's not just a strong presence. It probably feels twisted, wrong. Like Harald's signature hockey is still there, but it's been corrupted.
The worst case scenario. It's already happening. Their quiet conversation is over. The time for talk is done.
Back at the castle, it's chaos. Loki is clashing with his own father, trying to hold him back. Just imagine that. You just watched your dad get run through with swords, heal, and start killing everyone. Now you have to raise your own weapon against him. Jarul is demanding to know what happened, and Harald, some part of him is still in there, fighting. He's clawing for every last second of control.
He gets a moment of clarity, a final gasp of his true self. He tells them he made a terrible mistake, that he was tricked by the world government. He played right into their hands. He confesses his failure as a king.
He says he's about to hand Elbaph over to them as slaves, and then he gives Loki the most impossible order I've ever heard. It's more than just an order, it's a plea.
He tells Jarul to give Loki their sacred devil fruit, the one they've been guarding.
Their treasure, the one they've been protecting. He says it's the only thing that can stop him. He looks his son in the eye and tells him to eat the fruit, kill him, and become the hero that Elbaph needs. It's not just stop me, it's erase me from history and become the legend I failed to be.
He's constructing a new narrative in real time, a way to save Elbaph's future, even if it means destroying his own legacy. He's giving Loki a mission and a justification. Your father became a traitor, a monster. You, the prince, had to strike him down to save our people. It's a foundational myth for a new era of Elbaph, built on his own sacrifice.
Super. That's the heart of a king, right there. He's literally saying, tell everyone I was the worst king ever. Let them hate me. Use my failure to become the leader they deserve. The future is more important. Oh my God, he doesn't care what they think of him, only that his people are free. That's on par with Dr. Hiraluk's speech, or Whitebeard shouting that the One Piece is real. It's a final, world-changing act of defiance.
He tells Loki, you're the only one I can trust to do this. The ultimate burden, but also the ultimate expression of faith from a father to a son. And that's the last thing he says as himself.
Because then the light just goes out of his eyes. You can see it happen. It's just a blank, cold stare. Imu's control takes over completely.
And he becomes a monster. He slaughters every guard around him in an instant, no hesitation. The movements are fluid, efficient, and utterly without remorse. It's the body of a king, but the mind of a Terminator.
He even orders the guards outside to seal the gates, saying there are criminals inside. He's framing them. He's setting the stage for the world government to come in and instaur order. One of the guards who's still alive stabs him in the neck, calling him an imposter. And the wound just heals again, the sword getting pushed out by regenerating flesh. It's so hopeless.
Then he speaks, but it's not his voice anymore. The tone is different, arrogant, alien. He announces himself as a vassal for the Great One.
The Great One. Definitely Imu. That's not a title for a king or a queen. That's a title for a god. And this thing wearing Harald's body says no one is leaving that room alive. Chills, man. Just absolute chills.
This reframes the entire power structure of the world. The world government isn't a political body. It's a cult, and Imu is its hidden deity. Darul knows what's at stake. He screams at Loki to get the fruit, and Loki starts running for it, even though he's saying he doesn't want to lose his ability to swim.
Which is such a classic One Piece line in the middle of all this horror. It grounds it. Even facing this eldritch nightmare, Loki's first thought is, oh man, but swimming is fun. It makes him feel real. But the now possessed Harald wants the fruit for himself. He says he's going to eat it.
But Darul stabs him, stopping him for a second, and says something absolutely terrifying. He tells Harald that if he, meaning the Imu-controlled Harald, were to eat that fruit, the world would end.
Wait, what? The whole world? Not just Elbaph? The world? What is this devil fruit? We've seen fruits that can destroy islands, create earthquakes, bring meteors from space, but nothing that carries a world-ending threat level. What could it possibly do?
We don't have time to process that, because Harald just retaliates. He takes a sword, one he apparently gave to Darul a long time ago, a gift between friends, and stabs Darul right in the head with it.
That moment was brutal. The sound of it, the look on Jarul's face, and the line, just, you can have it back now. Just cold as ice. It's Imu speaking, using Harald's memories to make the betrayal as painful and personal as possible. But Jarul, the old giant, is tough. He survives. He's got a sword sticking out of his skull, but he's still standing.
Harald ignores him and takes off after Loki, screaming that he'll eat the fruit and take Ragnir for himself. He wants the fruit, and he wants the prince's legendary sword.
But he doesn't get far. Shanks and Gaban show up right on time and intercept him. A classic hero entrance. Gaban sees what's happened, the bodies on the floor, the dead look in Harald's eyes, and says Shanks's worst fear has come true.
Shanks tries to talk to him, to get through to the real Harald. He calls his name, trying to reach the man inside the monster.
But there's nothing there. The possessed Harald just says he feels superior to all life now with his immortal body. It's pure celestial dragon ideology coming out of his mouth. The arrogance, the sense of divinity. And Shanks is just left wondering how you can possibly break that kind of absolute control. How do you fight a god who is wearing your friend's face?
And that's not even the final cliffhanger. After all of that, there's one more twist. The chapter ends with Loki.
He makes it to the chest with the legendary devil fruit. He's right there. And then his sword, Ragnir, moves on its own and attacks him. It swings around and tries to cut off his hand.
The sword itself prevents him from getting the fruit. It leaps from his scabbard to stop him.
Are you kidding me? A cursed blade? A sword with its own will? We've seen cursed blades like Sandai Kitetsu, and we've seen swords that choose their user like Enma, but we've never seen one take action like this. What is going on in Elbaph? That's where it ends. I can't handle this.
An absolutely frantic, lore-heavy, and tragic chapter. So much to unpack.
Unbelievable. Okay, predictions. What do you have for next week, Robin? Let's start with you.
All right, my first prediction is about the devil fruit. Jarl said if Harald ate it, the world would end. I think this fruit isn't a zone or a paramecia. It's something else entirely. Maybe something that can nullify other devil fruit powers on a global scale or control the sea itself. Something that would reset the world's power balance completely. If Imu, whom already controls the land, got control of the sea or the very nature of devil fruits, that would effectively be the end of the world as we know it.
Ooh, a world-ending fruit. The Umi Umi no Mi, maybe? The sea fruit? That would be insane. I like it. What else?
My second prediction concerns Ragnir. The sword moved on its own. We've seen cursed blades, but this felt different. It felt like it had a purpose. I believe Ragnir doesn't have a devil fruit, but that it has a will tied to the promise of Joy Boy, and it will only allow the rightful user to claim the fruit. It attacked Loki because he isn't ready, or perhaps more likely, he isn't the one it's waiting for. The sword is a guardian, just as much as the giants were.
A sentient sword guarding a mythical fruit. Okay, my turn. Prediction 1. Shanks is not going to be able to break Emu's control through talk or hockey. It's too absolute. He's going to have to fight Harald, and it's going to be heartbreaking. He's going to hold back, trying not to kill his friend, but possessed Harald will have no such problem. We're going to see a God's Knight at full, terrifying, immortal power against a Yonko, and I think Shanks might be on the defensive for most of it.
A battle of friends, where only one is still himself. Tragic. And your second prediction?
My second prediction is that Loki will not be the one to eat the fruit. He can't get past Ragnir. Someone else is going to have to step in. And I think that someone is going to be Usopp. This is his arc. Whenever the Straw Hats get here, I'm betting Usopp, the liar, the storyteller, the one who claims to be a brave warrior of the sea, is going to be the one who can calm Ragnir and claim the fruit. Maybe the sword responds to bravery, not strength. Usopp overcoming his fear to protect his friends will be the key. He'll fulfill his dream right there in Elbaph.
An interesting thought, connecting Usopp's personal journey directly to the fate of Elbaph and this world-ending power. It would be a fitting climax for his character arc.
He's gotta have his moment, and this is the place for it. Okay, that's it for us this week. My heart rate is still too high. I need a cola.
What a chapter. The wait for the next one will be agonizing. Join us next time on Inherited Dawn.